Thank you so much for stopping by my channel, 521 Investment and Kingdom City Family Bank. Today, we're going to talk about leveraging a system. And what is leverage? Leverage involves using debt or borrowed capital for an investment or project. Or you may want to do something, you got this ideal, and you don't have the money to do it. You may have to borrow some money from a bank or some investor for whatever vision you have in your mind of what you want to do, but it involves borrowing money. And to be honest, personally, I do not like leverage. And, for years and years, and I've read a lot of books about leverage. And man, I just got a bad taste in my mouth when I even think about it. But I understand now, for me to fund Kingdom City Family Bank, my family's family bank, and I'm the CEO, I must understand more about how to use leverage and how to leverage system. So there's a personal fear that I have to deal with, because when I hear that word leverage, I can hear it on TV. I hear people talking about it. It just makes me, a strange feeling, just because I know it's borrowing. Now, the scripture says, listen to this, in Proverbs 22:7, the rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. So when I hear leverage, I often think about this scripture. The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. Now, I mentioned on my last video a book that I was reading, and the author said, once a perception is altered, the truth becomes difficult to believe. So I must personally learn more about leverage. And this is something I'm doing right now. I'm reading a book. It's about Owen Woodard, and it talks a lot about leverage. But this is not the only book I have read about leverage. Now, most people do not use leverage. They trade time for money. I did this most of my adult life. I traded time for money. I didn't use leverage because I didn't understand leverage. So I traded time for money. I did not understand that I need people and system, especially because our family bank, Kingdom City Family Bank, will practice generosity. But the family bank won't be able to practice generosity unless I understand leverage. So I must understand leverage so I'm able to fund Kingdom City Family Bank, our family bank. And you, whatever you're trying, your vision, your goal, what you are doing in life, you may have to use leverage, or you may already be using leverage, or you might have a good experience with leverage or a not so good experience with leverage. But I don't believe we can get away from it. Especially when you're trying to do something big and you don't have the money to fund it. Now listen to this. The scripture says in St. Luke 6:38, and you probably heard this in some type of religious service, give, and it will be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down and shaken together and running over, shall men give into your bosom. For with the same therewith it shall be measured to you again. But it says men's. And I think of it as systems that men and women are involved, or they have created something. So when I read that now, I think of systems. And if I set up the right system early, it'll benefit me more in the future, or the Kingdom City Family Bank, where I understand system, because it said men's will give unto your bosom. It could be men's, it could be a system, it could be women's. So the point I'm making here, I need people in leverage. I have to leverage their system, something they created, or what I created. Because if you have a grand vision and you don't have the money, you're going to need people and systems involved. So I think it is critical that we have God involved in our mentality, in our system, or to be God conscious. Whatever system we're trying to set up, we are God conscious. Whatever we are trying to accomplish in life, we are God conscious. So only a small percentage of people develop leaders and leverage systems. Think about that. I'm going to say that again. Only a small percentage of people develop to be leaders and leverage systems. A small percentage. Now, often you and I, we hear in the media about the 1% and the wealth of the 1%. Now, a lot of that wealth was created through systems, using people. A lot of times it was you and I, making them wealthy. But it was systems, and some of it was through inheritance. But my last name is Clark. It's not Rockefeller. It's not Buffett. You get my point? I don't have a famous last name as Rockefeller or Musk. And the point I'm making here, people who are the 1%, and they control a lot of the wealth. The point I'm making is they have systems, and normally they are using you and I in their system to make them more wealthy. That's okay. That's okay. As long as you and I can profit from it. We may not become the 1%er. But in our future, if we have more financial flexibility, because remember, if we don't create our own system, we're going to have to use somebody else's system. If we don't create it, if we are not the entrepreneur, we're going to have to use somebody else's system to get to where you and I are trying to go in our future. So don't be fearful. Use a system, use a strategy that's working, and imitate it. But I can almost guarantee you, there are going to be people involved. And that scripture says, if you give, it will be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together. So systems, when you create the right system or use a system that's working, it's got to give back to you. That's a God factor. It's got to give back to you. But I know, and you know, a lot of times people use systems and they don't use it with the right mindset. And they'll say some systems are scams. And there may be systems that are scam. But a lot of times, a lot of systems are set up correctly and they work. But when people get involved with the system, they might use that system in an unethical way. But you have to use a system. Unless you're born into wealth, you're going to have to use a system. You're going to have to borrow some money. But don't be fearful. Don't be fearful. Use the system to get where you're trying to go in life. And for me and my family, it's Kingdom City Family Bank. And it may not be a family bank for you, but that's what it is for my family. That's what I plan to do. And it is a grand vision I have. And I can't fund it unless I use systems and strategies and people. And be not afraid. I'm still dealing with that. And what's helping me is I'm renewing my mind. I'm renewing my mind. I'm making a decision to renew my mind with more information. Now, please subscribe, share this video. Until we meet again, peace.